Hello everybody and welcome. I want to talk to you about something that occurred last year. Started the ball rolling, shall we say, last year, so I'll explain that and then we'll roll right through to the events of about a month ago. And I hope you enjoy it. This is part of the Past Lives series. So what I should do is I should direct you to a download that I had from last year. And downloads are when Spirit drops something into your memory. And it may be past, present or future. It may be directly from the Akashic records. So let me tell you a brief summary background of what happened. Now, I never dream of famous people. I never have. However, I dreamt that I was walking through a place where there were tall buildings and a big body of water. And as I walked past that, I then entered this grand dining room. And the table was unusual because it was square instead of oval or long. And there wasn't many people invited. There were very few. And I am sitting on this side of the table. And I could see these people to my right-hand side who were, how can we describe it? They would be sort of very loud, outspoken people. And they wanted to be like a centre of attention. So I was sort of ignoring them, but observing them. And then at the bottom end of the table was King Charles and Queen Camilla. And they were busy having a conversation. I wasn't involved in their conversation. But the interesting thing was, to my left was Joanna Lumley, who's quite a well-known actress in this country. And I am talking politely with her, and she's talking politely with me, and we're having a conversation. I mean, as if this would happen. Anyways, the loud people to my right, the woman got up and she had ordered some what looked like raw meat, and it was effectively offal. So it was like liver and kidneys, and it was wobbling on this plate. And she was like, "Oh, look at this, everybody. It was bizarre. Look at this. Why doesn't everybody have some of this? Come on, you need to have this." And it's like, I was just gobsmacked by it, really. I just thought, how rude, how very rude, how insensitive. Because I was aware that Joanna Lumley was a vegetarian, and I think the king is a pescatarian. I don't think he eats meat. I think he eats fish. So that was sort of that part of the dream or the vision. And then I was looking down from a camera view onto King Charles, who was lying on like a chaise longue or a sofa, and he had, or a daybed type of thing, and he had two children either side. One, a little girl, and it was clearly in like an afternoon, a summer afternoon. He had a little girl who was just cuddling up against him, and he had a little boy who was also snuggling up against him. Now, I don't think that that little boy was George, who would be a next king. I think it was Louis. Don't think it was George. And the little girl, I believe, was Princess Charlotte. And it was just like they wanted to be with their grandpa. And it was very nice. There was nothing nasty about it or sordid. It was just really nice. Anyways, King Charles then turns and he looks at me directly. And I thought, that's bizarre. It's very confrontational. And I think I have spoken about that with George and the Prohibition. When they stare at you directly, it's very confrontational. You never get that in dreams. Usually you're looking at someone sideways on or who's doing something and you might not even see their face, but you are aware of who they are. So now I'm going to move this forward a year, and I'll move you onto the spiritual visit that I had about a month ago. I was lying asleep, trying to drift off to sleep, and I was aware of a man sitting in a bare stone room on this really large, oversized wooden chair. And it had a very high back, and it was much bigger than the man sitting in the chair. And he was sort of slightly sideways on, so he would be sitting at an angle like that. And his arms or his hands were on the armrests. And his hair was sort of slightly wavy, not unkempt, it was just wavy, and it was sticking out from below what I first thought was a hat. Then I realised that it was a crown. He's wearing a crown. And it was kind of fashioned out of gold and was adorned with precious stones. He then turns to face me directly. And again, this is very confrontational. Within the framework of dreams, you don't see people, like I say, from the face. You see them from the side view, but he's turning and facing me. He's looking directly at me. And I thought, at that point, I realised that this was Edward the First. I have no idea how I knew that, none at all, but that was the impression I was given. And I saw the same imagery over several nights. It kept on reappearing of him on the throne and turning and looking at me. He wants to speak with me. But then one evening, this would be about a month ago, without any of the visual imagery at all, I heard him bellowing at me. I want to speak with you. You will listen to me. He was bellowing. So quite calmly for me, I responded. And I said, Edward. And then I checked myself a bit. Sire, sir, we do not shout around here. And if you want to speak with me, then we'll do it quietly and in a very civil manner. I was actually surprised at my own response. And he went very quiet for a while, and I'm waiting, thinking, is he coming back with anything? Have I lost his energy? Has he gone? Then I could feel this sort of movement in my throat and in my mouth. And I realised, it's very hard to explain. It's sort of like somebody else is trying to speak your words. And I realised he was trying to use my voice. So I said, no, you cannot use my voice. We'll find another way. And I was quite alarmed because my communication, the method in which we talk, it's all open. All your channels are open. And I was communicating with him, but once that doorway is open, if he was going to use my voice, what I did not want was another energy slipping in behind and then also trying to use my voice. And so it's just like, no, I don't want that at all. So I took a piece of selenite, which is quite protective, and I have that on my nightstand with some black tourmaline, and I asked them to protect me and give me protection. So over the next couple of days, I was pondering this conversation with Edward. Kept on pondering it. Wasn't quite sure how I was going to handle it. So I eventually decided that I would converse with him by channeling him and allow him to use his energy, if you like, to write the words down. He's not controlling your pen, but the fluidity is coming through, and I don't really know what he is saying until I'm writing it. So I can start to write a word, and then you don't quite know what it's going to say until you finished it. So this is how I proceeded. And I'll let you see, I'll intercept here and let you see the recording of that. And after we're finished, I'll come back to you. Okay? I hope you enjoy it. So you have been trying to get in touch with me. Over the past few days, I have felt your energy. Saying, yes, I have, my dear. We are
inextricably linked through family lines. Okay. I am related, or my soul is related to you in some way. Yes, your soul is part of my family group. You are also an Anju from a long line of protectors. In the Anju region. You are a Anju. I'm a Anju, right? Was I a male in your reign or a female? I was female. You and your brother showed great loyalty to this crown. A Plantagenet crown. I spelt that wrong, probably. He's saying, no matter. Kings are now gathering. Ready to welcome a new king. I think I know what that means. Is this Charles? It is Charles. Right. All the players in your life, as in my life, correct, now reconvened in my this is part of an 800-year cycle. Okay. In return for your loyalty, the loyalty of your family, here we go again, d'Anjou, I promise to protect you. I have been looking in on you for many years. Oops. Many lifetimes. And many troubles. Good God. My writing doesn't normally look like this, I just have to say that. No matter, my dear, no matter. That's what he's saying. Oh dear. You lost your life in my reign. Your brother also forfeited his life. In protecting you. As a widow, you were sought by others not so honourable, despite their status. Knights should be men of honour. I'm just going to change the page on that. You rebuffed the advances of one who sought only your land. In doing so, you charged the ire of another who was jealous of your position within my court. She gave instruction for your removal. Did she now? How was my life ended? At the blade of a sword. As in stabbing or beheading, or it is of no matter. Is there anything else? Yes, you are. Is it Mary or Marie? What are you saying? Mary Dandrew. Walk talk. Walk tall. This is why loyalty is so important to you. Very true. Very, very true. You had no children. Did I have a first husband? Yes. He died with me in glory in a previous skirmish. In lands abroad. Is there anything else you want to tell me, Edward? Give you a sense of who you are. You want me to write that in capitals? Loyalty is a thread that will run through many lifetimes for you. Many thanks. Thank you. So with that, I bid you good day. Thank you. Have you gone? For now, it is all. Wow. Do you want to put your name to it? Wow, there we go. I've not done that before. He's very easy to talk to. Doesn't like to be interrupted.
Well, it was very interesting, wasn't it? He's quite direct. He's very, very easy to converse with. He was more relaxed. It wasn't that bellowing, strange man that shouting at me. So just a little bit of brief history or a bit of comment on some of the things he said. Edward I, he was born on the 17th of June in 1239, and he died on the 7th of July in 1307. And he was commonly known as Edward Longshanks or Edward the Hammerer of the Scots. He was King of England from 1272 to 1307 when he died. So at the start, the name Anjou came up, and I assumed Anjou was from France. Edward was a member of the House of Plantagenet, which traced its ancestry right back to Geoffrey V, who was known as Count of Anjou in France. So he was a pivotal monarch who strengthened the English monarchy. This is Edward I. He strengthened the English monarchy, and he reformed common law. So he significantly expanded the territory that England had, and the conquest of Wales, and also the subjugation of the Scots, hence the name Hammerer of the Scots. So he states also that all the major players or people who are in my life now are also on an 800-year cycle. I am supposedly on an 800-year cycle. So we have all gathered together again and reconvened in this lifetime, and that might be perhaps to break old cycles or rectify wrongs against us or wrongs that we may have perpetrated. Now that was interesting. So this 800-year cycle. The d'Anjou, their lands were in France. Southern Italy, if you look at the map of Italy, literally cut it in half. And if you like the boot of Italy, cut it in half, and everything south, including Sicily, was all part of the d'Anjou lands, and even some of Greece, modern-day Greece. So Charles of Anjou and Edward I were allies during the 9th Crusade. So while Edward continued to the Holy Land, he fought against the Mamluk at Acre. Now, Acre, if you're looking on a map today, it's a port in the district of Haifa, which is modern-day Israel. At the time, the Muslim forces were threatening these Christian-held lands, and Edward wanted to assist. So it was the Christian Crusades against Muslims. So when Edward arrived in Acre, he brought with him quite a modest fighting army of around, I think it's 1,000 crusaders, including 225 knights. So he makes reference to somebody who was at that time, my husband, who I was married to, who died and fought very bravely within the battle on foreign lands. So I'm assuming that was at Acre. So Edward then forced an alliance with a Mongol army that aided in attacking and raiding the Muslim forces. You have to look at a map and think a Mongol army. Look at the world map. Look where Mongolia is. And they travelled all the way. The Mongols were incredible. Later years, you'd be thinking of Genghis Khan. But they travelled all the way across what is Mongolia, China, all of the Stanis, Siberia, Russia, what's now would be Eastern Russia, all of the Stanis, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, all of the Stanis, right through modern day Syria, Iraq, Persia, right through the Mongols travelled huge distances through Greece and into North Africa. So we think of the world as being a massive place then and nobody travelled, but my gosh, they really did travel when you think. So Edward had forced this alliance with the Mongols, and following a naval victory against the Muslim forces, Edward began negotiating a truce with the Muslim army as a means of protecting Christian-held territory within the Holy Land. So Charles of Anjou and other French crusaders, they returned home to Sicily and to France. Edward also says that I was Mary d'Anjou, and that would suggest that I was called Mary but came from Anjou, or part of the d'Anjou house, the d'Anjou court. I think it's a fascinating peek into a different world and time period, and for that I am very grateful to Edward for stepping forward and speaking with me. I've had these kind of thoughts about that time period, but had no idea of the connection. And as it happens now, I live in an area that Edward I was battling in, and he actually took his men and when they were fighting, and they resided in this area, which is why a lot of these old castles and old domain lands, they were gifted from the estate as a means of thanks. I hope you enjoyed that. Have a look at it yourself and see what you think. I hope you enjoyed the writing. If you want me to do this again with any other people that come through, I will do it. It wasn't hard to do in that it wasn't draining. Sometimes energy can be really draining, but that wasn't draining at all. He made it very easy for me. So I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much for joining. And if you have enjoyed this program, if you please like, share and subscribe. One of those up there, a like please, share if you would please, and just this one down here, subscribe. That's it. Like, share, subscribe, please, thumbs up. Thank you, I really appreciate that. And I have got another past life to put up yet. It's just taking a little while for me to get round to doing it because I have quite a lot of obligations at the moment. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Be kind to one another, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and we're going to catch you next time, okay? Namaste.